I'm here today to find out about a new House and Senate bill that's been presented in both chambers regarding the regulation of coal ash. We're very concerned about the coal ash in Perry County because they have hauled in all of the material from the Tennessee Valley spill, and it's a great concern to us because they have created mountains of coal ash just outside our city limits, and there's dust just blowing everywhere. When it rains, the ash is washed down off the huge mountains down into the local creeks and streams, and people are very concerned about not only the surface runoff but also the ash itself. We held hearing after hearing attended by hundreds of citizens who complained that they did not want a landfill. And we were told that it was all in the hands of our county commission. 5 people in the county were going to be deciding the fate of the other 11,000 that live there. Really, this particular landfill, which is a Subtitle D landfill, it was not properly constructed to start with. The developer left out one layer of the lining with ADEM's approval, and it was not supposed to accept coal ash. And they got the permit extended and they got the permit revised, and ADEM approved all of that. And Perry County Commission is the one who really has benefited from it because they've gotten money from every ton of coal ash that's been brought in there. Additionally, ADEM has gotten money for every ton of coal ash that's been brought in there. The residents have tried for years, since before the landfill ever came, to let the world know that we did not want the landfill. We objected to it, we signed petitions against it, we had innumerable hearings about it, we did everything we could to try to keep the landfill from coming. But we were told it would be household waste only. That was not true. ADEM did approve for this landfill to accept what they, I believe, are considering a special waste. Well, coal ash is a very special waste, and it's a very toxic waste. That is the reason that millions and millions and millions were spent in Tennessee to clean it up. The problem is, recognizing that it was toxic in Tennessee, they failed to recognize that it was going to be just as toxic in Alabama. And they have brought it and put it within a 2-mile radius of the downtown center of Uniontown. It is exactly across a 2-lane county road from many, many homes. It did bring a few jobs, but jobs are not worth your health, and so this has really been a problem. It has only benefited a very few financially, and we don't think that it has been properly investigated to find out what the long-term effects are. We know it has arsenic, cadmium, any number of toxic materials are in this coal ash, and we really want the state of Alabama to do something definitive about it, and we really want the EPA to do something definitive about it, because it should not be put where people live or where there are cows or wells or anything that could possibly harm us from now and into the future. Think about it in terms, if you live there, if your family was there, if you were watching your children go out in the front yard or the backyard and there was coal ash dust all over your yard and their play equipment and up and down the sidewalk and on the doors and windows of your home, and when you open a door or window, in comes a little bit of breeze, in comes more dust. This coal ash was used as a cover material for the garbage placed there, the household garbage. Coal ash is not an acceptable cover material. So I'm not trying to insult ADEM, but I do want you to know this is not being properly handled, and we are unfortunately the victims. I hope you will consider that this is a hazardous waste. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our only living off fruit and vegetables, which we raise, and the coal ash is so close. It's right across the street, and there's a lot of elderly people. This is their only home, and they really, it's a very concern about where they're gonna go. Their homes or the land is You know, it's not worth not much right now. It's really worthless. And where do you go from here? We don't have any money to buy any more land. Most of the people's elderly. Where should they go? In the city, you have gangs and this and that. But in the country, you can enjoy life. Right now, we can't enjoy life. We can't even enjoy our own food. We can't even enjoy our own water, being a fear of, you know, it might not happen now, but on down in the future, we're going to have more problems, more health problems. But now, country life that became a problem because you can't breathe in good air. You know, jobs, okay, landfill, for instance, the landfill. The landfill was a job for few. It made a lot of money. Schools got money. Fire department got money. But what about your health? I'm concerned about my health, my people, not only black people, but I'm concerned about white people. But this landfill was put in the midst of I'm not racial or anything, but it was put in the middle of a black neighborhood. You know, we came a long way. It's not about black or white. It's time to come together. Think about your brother and sister in Christ. Thank you. I heard of, you know, I've talked to an elderly lady. She has breathing problems now. She lives, you can throw the rock into the landfill, and she has a lot of dust. And she's 60-some years old. She's on a fixed income. And you have children that's running around with asthma, different problems.
Well, my understanding is that the coal ash is very toxic. My understanding is that our landfill was built to receive household garbage, household waste, and not to receive toxic waste. And I know that the EPA is getting ready to decide whether the coal ash is toxic.
It's obviously hazardous, and I think it should be regulated as a hazardous material. And our little group wants nothing less than not only for it to stop, which it has stopped at least temporarily, but for the coal ash to be removed from the landfill.
That it is toxic, that it has arsenic and a lot of chemicals that are harmful to humans, that not enough study has been done on that as far as the effects on humans, both short-term and long-term. I'm very concerned about how it affects the water, the groundwater. Many of the citizens who live in the immediate vicinity of the landfill have wells, and so their water, even if it may not be today, surely it will be affected someday. And the air, I know that the air is affected. All you have to do is ride by the landfill to know that the air is affected. The odor is terrible.
Well, I'm having breathing problems, I'm having heart problems, yes. And I live right down there where the trains come by it, taking it down, and the truck's coming right by. You know, we'll put a new door on, and since those trains been coming by, my door keep turning black, and I keep washing it off, and the dust and stuff will come right back on there. You know, with all those railroad trains going by and all that, and the different trucks set all this stuff down through there. So most of the time they come at night, and I can't really say that I see them, so I don't know, but I know they come mostly every night. They're just going up and down the track all the time.
This would actually authorize the department to regulate coal waste disposal, in a manner that would be consistent with the future federal regulatory programs that are going to be developed around the regulation of coal waste and coal ash. It would subject the disposal of coal waste to the existing solid waste disposal requirements until the new state and federal programs are adopted. If we don't pass this bill today, what does that really mean? What that means is that we will continue to be a state that has its borders open to anyone in any group who wishes to bring coal waste material into the state and dump it into our land and land areas. The effect on groundwater, the effect on the surrounding inhabitants around these areas is beginning to come into question. So we need to take a first step, in my opinion, to begin the regulatory process, and as the federal government begins to create clearer guidelines through the auspices of EPA, we need to be in a position to receive and be able to deal with those regulations as they come down. There is a frustration and a level of frustration perhaps about the approval of that landfill. that is not, unfortunately, what we're able to address today in this bill. What we're addressing today in the bill is to give and to begin the process in Alabama for the first time to begin to regulate coal ash and its dumping into our state.
Well, we have the authority, ABM or EPA, to really look at the classification. I think that this is what I'm hearing here, that it's just not a solid waste issue. It's one that's dealing with a health issue, to see if we can make some provisions to make sure it's classified as a hazardous waste.
Yeah, that's what you're seeing is that you've got a process that this will be the first step for. It is possible that it will be declared to be a hazardous waste through the regulatory process, but until we have clear direction from EPA, this is a good first step to begin to regulate it as a solid waste. The laws are already in place. It gives us an opportunity to begin to limit what's coming in and to be able to regulate it in a manner that we can better control it. We've just got an uncontrollable situation today.
Who is your local legislative delegation? Is it Representative Ralph Howard?
Perry County.
Who's your senator? They haven't done a good job.
Hank Sanders. We've had real problems with ABM. And we understand they're underfunded, they don't have enough staff. We've been to EPA in Knoxville. We've been everywhere. We're worried that this bill classifying this stuff will make it available to put in every household waste dump. That's what scares us. This bill looks
It
to
can be done
us.
that way today
Well, I know, but now it's like, but
with no regulation.
But why wouldn't we stop that when we, had the chance to do it with this piece of legislation?
If it was an Etowah County issue, if I felt it was an important issue enough for environmental hazard or waste to my constituents, I would make sure I would have worked the committee also, and I would be here today to speak on behalf of them. I just want you to know where I'm
I
coming
know
from.
you would. Would you like to come to Perry County?
I'm really disappointed. We went in there not really knowing what this bill meant, and I wanted to get them on the record for legislative intent. And they're on the record. The chair, the person that introduced the bill, said that he was doing it to regulate coal ash, and this has to be done this way as a first step to deal with the coal ash. And those words sound good, and I'm not going to, he's a very nice man. He gave us a public hearing when he didn't really have to legally, and so, But when all things are said and done, here's what we're stuck with. We're stuck with a bill that says that coal ash can go in any household waste dump in Alabama until the EPA rules otherwise. God knows how long that's going to be. And everybody's trusting ADEM, which is a hoot, because ADEM, the Alabama Department of Environmental Management, has been so ineffective over the years. I'm not blaming the people personally. They've been underfunded. They don't have the political will to do the right thing. And the guy from ADEM just admitted to me, he didn't know when the stuff was tested. He sat up there and made a commitment to ride herd on Perry County. Give me a break. They've never rode it. They have never rode herd on any of these landfills. They don't have the staff to do it. I think they got 2 people in the whole state to monitor landfills. Certainly didn't help us trying to get the coal ash out of the Perry County landfill. But maybe it educated some legislators. But let me tell you, my big disappointment is this. You know how many times I've heard this, it's a first step in the right direction argument? I'm an old lady, If I had the times I heard that argument, had a nickel for each time, I'd be a rich woman. It's my experience that the first step is the only step. And so I am concerned. I think that these environmental bills, I think that our elected officials need to reach out to the environmental community before they come up with this. How come they didn't sit down with us? And devise a plan if they were so worried about coal ash. Until the people really lead the leaders will never follow.